here's your host, Jason Voorhees and Aaron Savage.
Ooh, yeah!
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Sports and Metal Podcast. We are your hosts. This is Aaron Savage. With me, as always, my partner in crime, Mr. Jason Voorhees. What's going on, Jay?
What's up, man?
How are you?
I'm stoked.
Me too. I'm super excited. Tonight's guest, they have a show next Saturday at the Landis Theater in Vineland, New Jersey. Jason and I will be there checking it out. They are the premier tribute band to Stone Temple Pilots. They provide a transformative experience right back to the 90s with an absolutely authentic sound and the look of Stone Temple Pilots themselves. They play all the hits along with the deep cuts. They appeal to hardcore STP fans as well as those that may just remember the band from MTV and radio. Please welcome Scott Eller, the guitarist and vocalist, Ira Fisher, the drummers, Brian Rosner, the lead vocalist, Richard Dean Wilson on bass and vocals. Please welcome LoungeFly to the show. What's up, guys?
Hey, how's it going? What's up, fellas?
We're pumped up, man. How are you?
We're great. Thanks for having us.
Awesome. And you knew it was sports and metal, so you had to rock your Kiss shirt tonight.
It's always a good time to rock your Kiss shirt.
True. This is true. Anyway, guys, why don't you tell the audience a little bit about yourselves and your band before we get started?
Sure. We'll let the guys introduce themselves around the way, I guess.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Introduce us. I'm Richard, bass guitar.
Scott, lead guitar.
Brian, lead vocals.
And I'm Ira. I'm the drummer. So we're LoungeFly, guys. We are, as you said, hopefully the premier tribute to Stone Temple Pilots. You know, we try really hard to make sure it's as authentic as it possibly can be. And that's why you're catching us right now at our rehearsal studio over in Philadelphia. Just honing it in for next Saturday night, our July 17th show, because we're playing the first two albums, Core and Purple, front to back. And we want to make sure that it's close your eyes and you're listening to the records, or open them and you're watching those guys play. So that's what we're trying to accomplish every time we get on stage and every time we get together.
Awesome. We're so looking forward to the show, man. We're both Jay and I are huge Stone Temple Pilot fans. I'm a huge Scott Weiland fan with STP and Velvet Revolver. So I'm super pumped for the show. Let me ask you, how did you guys get into Stone Temple Pilots? Have you always been huge fans of the band? I mean, what led you guys to form this tribute? And what were you doing before? You know?
Yeah, you got it. Well, we've all had a lot of different experiences in our musical career. I don't want to speak for everybody else. I'll let them say it. Me, I'm an old hair metal guy. I was one of the, I was a Galaxy, Cell Block, Bonnie's, everything, guy, just playing in bands for years. Went out to California for some years in the early 90s, did that kind of thing, took time off of that to raise a family and do all that kind of thing. And then when the drums came a calling again, it was time to do this. So I'll let them tell you about their musical experiences, and then we'll tell you how the band got together, if that works.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah.
As far as the STP thing goes, I was a teenager, like 15, 16, right when the whole grunge explosion happened. And I caught the videos for Sex Type Thing and Plush on the radio and on MTV when I was 15, 16 years old, and bought a ticket to see STP with Butthole Surfers in Miami in 1993, nice. Like right when the first couple of singles were breaking. So it was one of those things where you see a band that's right getting on the rocket as it's going,
Yep.
And I fell in love with them immediately. And then when Purple came out, that kind of locked it in for me, just one of my favorite records. And this is actually the second STP band that I've been in. I did one in Atlanta, Georgia for a little while. And then right after COVID locked everybody down, I saw Ira here put up a post on Facebook in one of the Philly, South Jersey musician groups saying they were looking for a bass player, and just seemed like a real natural fit for me. So I jumped right in.
Awesome.
Hey, Rich.
Thank you. Scotty.
I, like Ira, was a 80s rock dog from the Galaxy days and Bonnie's, and the polka circuit, and then made the transition right from 80s metal, not following the grunge thing, but just falling in love with the sound of that STP kind of dug off at Zeppelin. You know, I kind of feel a Zeppelin vibe off of this band. So
Sure.
that's what drew me to it. All the riffs, the heavy riffs.
Cool. What about you, Brian?
I started off playing piano, and I just loved the Beatles forever until I got into Guns N' Roses as a teenager, and I said I'm never going to meet any girls playing piano and playing Beethoven. So I switched to guitar. Then I became that guitarist who was in the band, who was a great backup singer, but never really got an opportunity to sing lead. I wound up going to college and realizing there was about 100,000 guitarists better than me. So it's time to switch to bass because that's not a lot of those guys around.
Yeah.
So I was playing bass and singing. Always had that opportunity to sort of sing lead here and there, but hid behind my equipment a lot. And then I found an ad years ago. I met Ira, and I think he could probably tell the rest of the story from there. But at this point, I've sort of like hit that midlife crisis where I don't really care anymore about hiding behind the equipment. I want to be out, and I want to be in front of the audience. I want to make them feel that, you know, they're seeing Scott Weiland, they're listening to Scott Weiland, even though we know he's deceased. And I love him, and I love everything about the band, and been practicing for about 3 years, and I'm super psyched about the show. Ira will tell you the rest of the story.
Go for it, Ira.
So there seemed to be I met an Ira story coming out of all this, but so yeah, that's how it went. So when it was time to start playing again, you know, the '90s. Even though I was an '80s hair metal guy, it was the '90s music that felt a little bit more real to me, a little bit more rock and roll. Like Scott said, I felt the Zeppelin coming out of Stone Temple Pilots and fell in love. So I put a '90s cover band together with some guys that I'd known for years. And I was uninspired by it. I didn't want to be playing a schizophrenic set with people that were kind of half listening, which sometimes can happen. You become a jukebox. I wanted to, you know, feel those moments when you were on a stage and people just wanted to experience what you were giving them, because that's what makes me feel great. Brian was the bass player in that band, and then that band broke up. And one day I just called him and said, yo, man, we're doing an STP thing because that's the real deal. And you're singing. You're not the bass player, because whenever you did it in the cover band, it was great. We had some other people in the lineup, and Brian and I we wanted to make sure it was good as it possibly could be. So we did some tweaks. We did some moving around. We found Rich online last year during COVID. And our relationship with Rich for months was just him sending us video clips of, I now know these next 3 songs, and I now know these next 3. And the dude's such a fucking beast that it was like, okay, holy shit. And from rehearsal number 1, it was insane. And then in Brian, in our quest, and my quest, and Brian's quest to get even better, when Rich joined the band, then other pieces of the band just felt a little less than what we wanted to be. And so we wanted to replace the 2 guitar players we had with one guy that could fill the real live vibe of STP.
One guy who could sing.
And one guy that could sing and bring the Jimmy Page-ness. And Scott and I went to high school at Cherry Hill West, 35 years ago, and never jammed together before until a couple of months ago somehow. And I hit him up because we were Facebook friends, and said, dude, you want to play guitar in an STP band? And in all capitals, he was like, this is for me. And it was during a snowstorm. And he may have been drinking. I don't know. I know I was. I'm sure. I don't remember that day, but I'm sure. And it was the same thing with Scott. He came down, and night 1, it was clicked. And we were like, don't tell him he's in the band yet. It's like third date is when you get the sex. We wanted to do the same thing. It was like third date, and we'll let Scott know. And it's been a couple of months. We've had a couple of we played some shows already. Some really good warm-up shows. People seem to be enjoying it. We're having a blast, and it's getting better. So it's awesome.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So one of you guys said you loved Guns N' Roses. It was Brian, right?
Yeah.
That's my favorite.
Yeah. When you get Appetite for Destruction, I don't know how you can go back to listening to the Beatles.
That's the Bible to me. I will say this though, I'm also a huge STP fan. I was also like I'm a Rush guy, Neil Peart. Yeah, I'll be honest. When I was a kid, I wasn't the biggest Rush fan. I couldn't get over Geddy Lee's voice. Rush is one of those bands. When I got older, I went back and I'm like, why the fuck didn't I like this? And now, like, I could listen to Rush 24 hours a day. It's weird, but anyway, yeah. But Guns was like it for me. But I mean, I was also an '80s guy. But I will say this: when the grunge hit, and I'm going to get into why I don't think Stone Temple Pilots is grunge, but we'll get to that. But when the grunge hit, I mean, there were certain bands that just hit me in the face, and like they made me feel the way Guns N' Roses did. And I will say this: when Nirvana came out with Smells Like Teen Spirit, there was no word grunge, and I didn't know what to call it. I just thought they were weird. But I liked the record. But when Pearl Jam 10 came out, that was the album that really hit me. Like Pearl Jam 10 to me had all the angst of Appetite in a lot of ways. And you know, and I loved Alice in Chains' Facelift for the same reason. But when STP came out, I think they kind of got lumped into that because of the time that they came out. And I do think on Core, it's definitely STP's most metallic record. But obviously, they're not a metal band. They're a rock band, an alternative band, little psychedelic 60s in there, a little glam. But Core was definitely their most metallic record. And I think they just got lumped into it because of that and the way Scott sang in a much more, baritone voice on that record.
Early on, yeah.
Yeah, 100%. But when you get to the Purple stuff, I mean, STP, it was almost like Bowie. They really transcended the scene. That's why I can't call them grunge. I think Core kind of got them lumped into that in the time that they came out. It's like you put the station Lithium on XM radio. The title of the radio station Lithium implies that it's all going to be grunge bands, but you hear Alanis Morissette on there. It's more of like a definitive of the time radio station. I think that STP was kind of a product of that, but they definitely transcend many genres, STP, and that's what makes them a great band. Absolutely. But yeah, I mean, Guns was my favorite. So I have to ask, do you love Velvet Revolver?
Some of it.
See, I was a huge Velvet Revolver fan. I loved it. And I will say this, too. I mean, I think that Velvet Revolver made me even more of a Scott Weiland fan and made me go back and appreciate Scott even more. And just like
skills.
What's that?
He had skills. He could sing. He could write. He fit.
Yeah, it made me see a different side of him. Like he could be the cock rocker, as much as he was like the angsty rocker. And I like to see that different. And I think people don't realize how much Scott's evolved. Like I said, Purple, going on and on. When you look at what he became later in Velvet Revolver, and then even when he went back to SDP on that last self-titled record they did, he had really just taken on such like a David Bowie glam.
He became Starman, 100%.
He did. Yeah. And it's like you look at Core, it's like a different guy, and he didn't even have the moves then. So I always wonder, was he holding it back on Core?
I mean, I got to jump in on this. I think he's absolutely underrated. I mean, he doesn't get the credit sometimes I think that he's due as far as his vocals. I mean, he can belt out some, nasty highs, and I mean, you got to love the way that he performed on stage. I mean, the way he commanded that stage. I mean, I've never saw Stone Temple Pilots live.
Right.
That's why I'm at that. In fact, that's why I'm looking forward to the 17th to see you guys. But I did actually see the first time that I was turned on to you guys. I saw a concert that you guys did. It was back, I believe it was in January, or it might have been November. End of November. On a live stream. By the way, folks, if you haven't checked it out, it's on YouTube. Please go and check it out. Because when I saw that, I swore that you guys you are Stone Temple Pilots, honestly.
Wow.
I mean, because they've always been one of my favorite bands. Like, Aaron will tell you, I'm a diehard, I'm more of the heavy guy. I'm a Megadeth. Megadeth's my favorite band. I'm more of a thrash. That's my kind of style. But if there was a band out there that I really, really enjoyed and I got into them later in life, it would have to be Stone Temple Pilots. To me, Stone Temple Pilots and Alice in Chains were my two favorite bands of that era. Now,
me too.
I did write an article, and I published it today on the top, grunge bands. But I, like you and like
Aaron,
top
grunge albums. You did albums.
Correct. Top grunge albums. I, like yourselves, I don't consider Stone Temple Pilots grunge, but I do consider their music, since it came out in that era. That's why I put it in the list, because I felt like I couldn't leave them off the list, because
Makes sense.
to
No, it
me,
has to be there.
Purple is, obviously I love Core, but to me, if you're going to look at both of those two records, I think Purple is the masterpiece
Agreed.
of the band.
It was a leap. It was a quantum leap for as core, as raw, and in so many ways imperfectly perfect that core was, with like screeches and squelches and it was a little too loud sometimes. It was perfect. They took Purple and they narrowed it in to this perfectly honed thing that went up 5 notches, and there's some beauty on that record that is it's just unparalleled in my opinion for that era.
What's crazy?
Oh, I agree.
I mean, my three favorite Stone Temple Pilots songs are on Purple.
Which one
I mean,
What are they?
Well, Silver Gun Superman is
Masterpiece.
probably my favorite all time. I love Army Ants,
Agreed.
and then Kitchenware at the last song, Kitchenware and Hardware.
Kitchenware candy bars.
Yeah, Kitchenware candy bars.
It's awesome. Yeah,
My
No,
three
I think
favorite.
Purple's an amazing record.
that's awesome.
Love playing.
Ira, I know you were going to chime in before. I was interested to hear what you had to say when I was just talking about Scott's transition. Like when you look at Scott on Core, Winger.
Someone's checking in with Winger here.
Hey, you know what? It's not fair
I
that
know
people
that
make fun
guy.
of Winger.
Don't listen to that guy.
I don't make fun of Winger.
No, it's not fair anyway. Winger's like all like classically trained super musicians.
I know, Rod Morgenstein. Please, are you kidding me? I'm all about it.
Yeah, they're unbelievable. I'm not a Winger fan because I'm not a fan of I thought they were too cheesy, but it was like almost like they were forced to do it by the record company. I mean, they're an amazing, talented band. Their later stuff was really good.
I hear that they sing now on stage instead of she's only 17, she's only like 37 or something.
Yeah.
They want to stay far away from that situation.
Yep. Yeah, but Winger was a band. Like if you listen to their stuff that was later, I think they had a record, Push, I think it was called. Phenomenal record. As far as STP goes, I mean, what do you think of Scott's transition from do you think he would you look at Scott, he didn't, how he had the rooster going on and the footwork later, he almost like Axl a little bit. You look at this when he was performing in the Core era, he was almost like standing still. Do you think that was a conscious effort by him because of being pigeonholed into the grunge era when they came out? I'm just curious your opinion.
I feel really connected to him in a lot of ways. Just like I described earlier about being shy and hiding behind my instruments and that sort of thing. I think a lot of it was really new for him, like it was for me when I started doing this. And I was a little chubbier and I'm losing weight too. And the more you do it and the more you're in front of people, it's sort of like gambling. You need to get your you need to raise the level. And so you want to keep doing bigger and better, because when you're playing smaller venues, you start not feeling the butterflies. And at first you're scared of the butterflies, but then eventually you're looking for the butterflies. And I think that's what he was doing. And I think he sort of transitioned into that. And you could see some of their videos later on where he's buck naked on stage in front of 40,000 people with the flag wrapped around him. And we joke about that sort of thing, but at this point, I'm not really sure if I wouldn't do that.
That's awesome.
So here's the thing, too. Let's not underestimate the fact that the guy also had a pretty bad addiction, and that can make you do some crazy stuff on stage.
Yeah, it definitely changed his personality.
Unfortunately, because the guy he went too soon. So we're going to make sure that his stuff is au naturel.
When I saw them in Miami in '93, he thanked the fan that had given him the acid earlier that day. And he was very animated during that performance. So
awesome.
Back in '93, I guess it depends on when you caught him. If you have YouTube, STP Sin Toronto '93, and watch him, that's the video, one of the videos I sent to Bragg on. Just watch his physicality on this particular video.
It was like foreshadowing what was to come.
Drums hit at the beginning of the song. He's back and forth across the stage with the arms, and
I'm gonna have to check. It's like a foreshadowing of what was to come.
And you know what? I think that Rich brings up a great point, because I think that that's something about this band that is, that's important to us. We could we could probably never rehearse again and go and play these songs like really, really well, right? But we always find something new and went, oh shit, you know what? The hit was here, not there, and or you know, like Rich said, hey, the way he did that there, and every little tweak. And first off, we like just getting together, but every little improvement, every little tweak that we do, we always just want it to be closer and closer to the thing that it was. And you know, we share all those things with each other, and we do all of those things to get as close as we possibly can all the time to it.
Well, Dean DeLeo was such an amazing guitar player. There were so many layers to his playing. He doesn't get the credit he deserves. I mean, and I also love how.
I think both of the DeLeo brothers.
Oh, absolutely. But
I mean,
Dean DeLeo in particular was an amazing guitar player, and I mean, they you know, they were both of them were unbelievable. But
Local guys.
There's a performance I came across on YouTube. It was from about 3 years ago with their new singer Jeff Gutt. Which, by the way, what do you guys think of him?
Big fan.
Awesome. Yeah, he's
I
great.
think he was the perfect fit. I agree.
I always have that fantasy, like in the movie Rockstar, that I'm
Yeah.
gonna get that phone call.
You're getting that phone
And
call.
it's gonna be Rob DeLeo, like, you know, and I'm gonna hang up on him because I'm not really gonna believe it's Rob DeLeo calling me to fill in. But
Yep.
Jeff Gutt is amazing, and we often see discussions on their fan pages about him where people are comparing him to Scott, but you can't really compare him. You just got to appreciate him for who he is. And I think he's fantastic.
Absolutely, I agree. But I mean, back to like Dean DeLeo's playing. I mean, you can watch so many performances throughout the years of like take the song Plush, for example, and every single time it's like they do it a little bit differently. You know, you've seen like the full acoustic version. I saw one with Jeff Gutt from like 3 years ago from like iHeartRadio. If you haven't seen it, check it out. In fact, I'd love to see you guys do the version. It was just Dean DeLeo playing his electric guitar with like clean and just like improvising in the chords so much and going up the neck with little lead, little noodling. And he's like, oh, and I feel the times waiting and doing all this. And then all of a sudden, yeah, thank you. And then periodically they bring the drums in.
Man, you're in.
Aaron used to sing.
Yeah. But no, I mean, it's just when you hear Stone Temple Pilots, the musicianship is amazing. And they never cease to amaze me how talented they are musically. And I mean, back to my point I'm making is how you guys always learn something new or hear another part to the music. With Stone Temple Pilots, I mean, just the versions of the songs that you could pick out. I mean, you'd never get bored. You know, every time.
I pointed out to Ira that I don't know if it was one of the tours where Scott came back after Velvet. They would open their shows with Big Empty, but prior to going into Big Empty, they would play like 4.5 minutes of Shine On You Crazy Diamond by Pink Floyd.
Awesome.
With the guitar solo at the beginning and a couple of verses and choruses. So really, you never knew what you were going to get, you know?
And you know, one of the things that I think is becoming more special about this band, and it's one of the reasons why Scott's in the band, is because all that stuff, Aaron, that you said, like kind of blows you away, where it's not on the record, but all of a sudden there's like a blues riff out of nowhere. You're like, where did that come from?
Mm-hmm.
Or a lead that wasn't there. That's like literally, you know, just 2 measures and it goes right back into it. That's what we have with Scott now. It's like, we don't know. Like, and he whips that stuff out. And we're like, oh, wait, get back to the song. Cause I was just blown away. And I'm a fan.
Yeah.
Of
That's awesome. And keeps your chops up.
He's like, am I doing too much? And I'm like, what are you talking about?
I don't want to overplay DeLeo, but you know, he needs to be expressed, you know, and I feel it, so I let it express it too, you know. I do the same thing.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, Bob DeLeo was a real clothes horse. I think he was probably the best thrift store shopper of the whole grunge era.
they definitely had a lot of different looks. When I watch them, I'm always watching Rob to see how he's possibly singing and playing the bass riffs that he's playing.
No, when I was hyping up Dean, I was taking nothing away from Bob. I mean, they're unbelievable.
Right. No.
Oh yeah,
they're a duo that can't be.
You can go.
Well, that's why
you can go musician by musician in that band. It's all
absolutely.
They're all underappreciated.
Yep.
Did you guys,
all underrated.
What's that?
Or you guys catch the little viral moment that happened with Rob DeLeo on the 4th of July the other day?
No, I did not. Fill me in.
So on Instagram, this guy puts up this post, says, my band's playing this 4th of July jam, and their parents are there, they're teenagers, and this guy and his son pull up on bicycles. And the guy's talking to the parents going, hey, this band's pretty good, man. You know, what are their influences? And the parents are like, oh, they're into Soundgarden, Alice in Chains, Stone Temple Pilots. And the guy goes, oh, really? What Stone Temple Pilots songs do they play? And the parent goes, Interstate Love Song. And the guy goes, oh, I wrote that song. My name's Robert DeLeo.
That's awesome.
So he took pictures with him. Check out, just Google that, Robert DeLeo barbecue 4th of July. You'll find it.
I'm going to find that. Yeah, I'm going to check that out tonight.
Spend some time talking with the kids and taking pictures. Super cool, man.
Awesome. Now, we're all Jersey guys for the most part here, right? You guys are Cherry Hill. It's always cool to think about the DeLeo brothers are from New Jersey.
So cool.
I didn't even know.
Yeah. They went to Point Pleasant High School, not far from where I live. I'm up in Freehold.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, not at all. Yeah.
You're in cool. Boss country.
Yeah, I'm in Bruce. Bruce went to my high school.
Cool, man.
Yep. So I have to ask you. Jason already said his favorite STP album is Purple. I probably agree. I have two questions. What is your favorite guy? What is your guys' favorite album? And then also, I'm just interested. Do you guys play a lot of material that came beyond Purple, like the later material?
I was going to say the same thing. I was just thinking that.
So, I mean, I can tell you my favorite's Purple, for sure. But it's got to be 1A for Core. I mean, you know, it depends what day of the week it is.
I'm with you.
You know, I guess I'm 5 days of the week in Purple is what it is. As far as do we play other stuff, we do. We play a handful. We play about 5 or 6 tunes that are later, and we'll definitely get it more into that. You know, at this point, working Scott into the band, we had to start with what was most influential. You know, and those first 2 albums combined were about like 16 million copies of records sold, and so it's their most well-known stuff. So working Scott in and getting us started, we started from that stuff. We have about 5 or 6 later, and what's cool is whenever we post something, people say, hey, you're gonna play this, you're gonna play this. So you know, we got a couple shows coming in August. We're already booking September and October, and we'll be able to kind of like dig our feet in a little bit more and put our nose to the grindstone and get some of those songs off Tiny Music and 4 down a little bit more. So one of our favorite songs to play is actually Down from 4, of course. That's just, it's fun and thick and swampy and amazing. So, you know, we definitely want to keep digging in.
I think 4 was like almost a kind of a throwback, a conscious throwback by the band back to Core, I think, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And then I think Shangri-La Dee Da was kind of like more of a throwback to the Purple era.
Yeah.
But definitely a little softer. You know what one of my favorite songs is? I'd like to see you guys play it. First Kiss on Mars from the Comeback album, the self-titled record they did right before Scott.
Okay.
The list.
All right.
Great too. I'd love to see that one.
You know what? Listen, we'll get right to it. I'm not kidding you, Aaron. We'll get right to it as soon as we're done this thing on the 17th.
Cool. I'd love to hear it, man.
Yeah.
Do you guys, the rest of you guys, do you guys agree that it's Purple, or does anybody have a different favorite?
I have a different view. I like the first 2 albums equally. I don't see one better than the other. And a lot of our discussions in terms of what we're going to play for fans at these different shows, you know, you wind up going back to the idea that some of the audience are going to be hardcore fans and a lot of them might not. So I think you mostly stick to those 2 albums for that reason, because of popularity.
Sure.
And I also find in terms of practicality, there's a lot of overdubs and there's a lot of, you know, Scott will layer himself 4 or 5 times on a lot of Shangri-La and the later albums. So they become a little bit more difficult to portray in terms of just sounding authentic in front of a live audience.
Sure.
But I find myself listening to mostly songs that we don't play just because I like them all. And if you guys are in the front row, if you want to get the encore started, I guarantee you we'll play a couple off of the first 2 albums. We'll play a few others. But you guys got to get that going. You know, I don't think the venue's going to kick us out. I hope not. But we'll just go and go and go. If you guys keep cheering us on, and I'm happy to play as many as you like.
Absolutely. We will. We're pumped.
But what about you, Rich?
Yeah, I can't say anything else besides Core. I mean, besides Purple. But to me, like the Core Purple, it's like looking at 10 and Versus and Facelift and Dirt. Like,
yeah, great example.
Great.
It's such a strong pair of albums, but the thing that kind of sets Purple apart for me is Core kind of seems like it's all the tunes the band was writing from their original Mighty Joe Young demos up until the time they got in that studio. And Purple's that kind of, okay, we had a little bit of success, we got a minute to make a record, and the whole thing was put together in the span of about 3 weeks. So,
I think, nailed it the best.
I think
Wait, hold
take
on.
that into account, that it's that like really condensed moment, spark of inspiration,
You make a great point that I want to elaborate on that. I think so many bands that's true of. When you take a band, their first record, that's the record that consists of all the material that they had been writing pretty much their entire lives up to that point.
And they played in clubs 100 times.
Yeah, you played it in the clubs. It was your passion. It was when you were broke. It was like when you were hungry. It was all your influences. Like you take Motley Crue's "Too Fast for Love." You hear Cheap Trick in that record. You hear some Kiss in that record. You hear some punk rock. They never sounded that way again. Very similar. What you made a great example. Core really is that record. And Purple, as much as any record I've ever heard, represents that change. Like a band that was going out of their way to say, now that we've made it, let's explore our art. In my opinion, I mean, it was like this a whole nother level. I think you really nailed it, like the way you described it. I really agree with it.
I always sensed a really conscious effort on their part to leave the grunge thing.
Yeah, 100% with Purple, they really did that. Yeah,
and which is why to all of that, if you're a band and you can avoid the sophomore slump, right? Because like Rich said, you have less time to write, less time to record. You've been playing that other stuff forever. If you can avoid that sophomore slump, it probably means you're just great at what you do. You got that inherent talent of writing. You can go and execute. And all those bands, like we just talked about, 10 and Versus and Facelift and Dirt and the first two STPs and Soundgarden. I mean, there was no sophomore slump in any of them. They just went boom, boom, and it was great music and then great music.
Yeah.
I mean, I think.
What were you gonna say, Jay?
Well, no, I mean, you guys already said it, but like, I think the Facelift Dirt example to me kind of makes the most sense too, because I was like, when Facelift came out, I was like, in love with that record. But then when I heard Dirt, it was like I could tell that musically they spent more time on the record, because to me it was like Facelift was more raw. It was like you guys said, like kind of the stuff that they were just playing. Not that it was bad, it was great.
Yeah.
But then like, it's almost like it was like kind of on steroids. Like they put more time into the next effort. And you're right. Like a lot of bands fall flat on their face on the sophomore album. In a lot of cases, but obviously, and I don't really. It wasn't their second album, but I kind of saw that similarity too with Metallica with Ride the Lightning and Master of Puppets, because I used to love Ride the Lightning, but Master of Puppets to me is like just more. I think musically it's just more intense and more. It seems like they were more prepared when they put that album out, and I think it was the same thing with Stone Temple Pilots, definitely,
100%. And
I don't know if I'd say prepared. I think Stone Temple Pilots. I think it was like just a conscious effort to change, I think so many bands are so creative when they're young, and they lose that creativity when they get famous. And Stone Temple Pilots never did. I mean, even take Van Halen, as great as they are, almost everything that they wrote until Sammy Hagar came in the band was written like before they got signed. I mean, even when they came back years later with David Lee Roth for A Different Kind of Truth, it was all material that they wrote before the first record came out. So you have bands when they're young before they get signed. They're, like I said, they're young, hungry. That's their most creative period. So when you have these exceptions to the rule, that says something about a band. That's why Dirt was such an amazing record. To me, it was very similar. Alice in Chains, they were Alice in Chains, like Guns N' Roses, prior to being Alice in Chains. They were a glam band, and they made and Facelift has a lot of that. There's still evidence of that glam in Facelift.
100%.
100%. And then
even their
especially
look a
the
little
second
bit.
half of the record, you know, the
They had,
second half.
they had some nice flowy hair in the beginning.
Yeah. But
you
Dirk
know?
was like a conscious effort to get darker and, you know, drop
Yeah.
detuning. So I mean, it's just an interesting thing. I think it says a lot about STP and how great of a band they were.
I just want to give a shout out, not even necessarily about our show on the 17th, but to the theater itself. I need to say, we all need to say, thanks to the Landis Theater. These people, you know, the whole team over there, Kathy and Steven and Ray, they've been awesome. You know, bringing us in, getting us all the information we need to be prepared, and being our partners to get prepared. If you guys have never been to the Landis, anybody out there, it's in Vineland, New Jersey. It is an old converted movie theater. So first off, it's just beautiful and awesome, and it's like comfortable and really nice. You also get that stadium seating a little bit, right? So you always have a great view. It's a huge stage. The sound is insane.
Epic lighting.
Epic lighting. And I'm going to get it wrong, but there's some LCD screen behind the bands that's like something by a bazillion wide and a bazillion high of like all these different animations that they put up. And it's just a really great place to see a show from a visual experience, a sound experience, and comfort. And they also put on a lot of plays and things down there. They just did American Idiot, you know, the Green Day show. After next weekend, they're putting on Heathers, the musical of Heathers, which
Awesome.
one of my favorite 80s movies. And so,
Hell yeah. Christian Slater.
Right?
Hell yeah. Yep. Absolutely.
One important thing. There's tickets still available.
Oh, well, there's that too for our
You know,
show.
if you're watching this right now, you like Stone Temple Pilots for $30. Come see us. You won't be sorry.
Absolutely. And let me just
sorry, that's a steal. I mean, you're getting
That's a
Core
steal.
and Purple. You're getting
Yep.
2 albums.
And
Yep.
and some encores.
Absolutely. And let me plug it again. It's next Saturday, July 17th at the Landis Theater in Vineland, New Jersey. Core and Purple played in their entirety by these guys right here. Oh, where's my finger? There it is. LoungeFly. You don't want to miss it.
And because free stuff is good, right? We know free stuff is good. So get a lot for your $30. There's also a guitar. Rock on. There's also a guitar raffle giveaway for $10. The theater has a raffle to support the arts at the Landis. It's going to be signed by us with some graphics and stuff on it as well. So a really nice electric guitar giveaway. And we're always that band that we always say, oh, we have to set up a merch table. We never set up a merch table, and we wind out giving out a bunch of T-shirts. And we have really, really nice LoungeFly T-shirts. You can see our logo in the background. So there's all kinds of other cool reasons to come and see us also.
Awesome. So you don't want to miss it. You don't want to miss it.
No.
Thank you.
Anyway,
I'll be there.
I'll be there. Jay will be there.
You guys are front row, I hear. Is that right?
That's
We
right.
are.
Yeah. We're pumped up.
I won the tickets in one of your contests.
Look at that. Well, I'll tell you what, this is the time. I know you guys want to get back to rehearsal. We appreciate the time you're taking with us. This is usually the time we would do the pick of the week. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to make mine simple. My pick of the week is LoungeFly. Check these guys out next Saturday, the 17th in Vineland at the Landis Theater. That's my pick of the week. In and out, short and sweet. That's my pick of the week. You're very welcome.
You guys are awesome.
Hey, thank you, man. So, listen, I think that's good for the pick. We're going to leave it at that. You guys got rehearsing to do. Jay, was there anything else you wanted to add?
No, I'm just super stoked, and I'm very blessed that we were able to have you guys on, and looking forward to the 17th, and looking forward to more of what you guys have to offer. So,
thanks, fellas.
Thanks for joining us on the show. Absolutely. LoungeFly, guys, check them out. And check us out, www.sportsandmetal.com, and Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, @sportsandmetal. Check us out. Rock on.
Wait, do they have it? You guys have a Facebook, right? Why don't you plug your social medias?
Yeah.
Before we go.
If you look up LoungeFly, it's a tribute to Stone Temple Pilots. You'll know it's ours. I think there's a LoungeFly like in San Antonio, so you might see another one out there. I'm sure they're terrific. But you'll know it's us because we got our big seedy looking fly. He looks like he's drinking a little too much and smoking.
Is there a link on the website?
Too many cigarettes as well. There's also our website, which is LoungeFly STP Tribute. You can see stuff there. But you know, we're mostly active on our Facebook because it's what we know how to do. So.
That's our generation. We're old.
Well, I'll share out all this stuff on when I share the show out. I'll share your pages and stuff too.
Thanks, guys.
So,
Right on, man.
Well, thanks for coming on the show, guys. Everybody,
We'll
check
see
us
you.
out.
We'll see you soon.
Check out LoungeFly. Rock on.
Check it out.
And that's our show. Tune in next time for more Sports and Metal with Jason Voorhees and Aaron Savage. Woo, yeah! Got something to say? Hit us up at sportsandmetal0423 at yahoo.com or on Twitter at sportsandmetal.